Good morning, folks. Hope you're all okay. It's nearly the end of half term, and we've nearly got a week off when we get to spend some fantastic time with our friends and with our families. When the weather starts to get a bit colder, when the sun will go down a little bit earlier in the night, because it's autumn and it's nice drawing in. So we're going to start off assembly today with thinking about something that we are really grateful for. Now, it's Global Goals Fortnight in school, and I want you to see if you can think of something that you have seen or done or heard about that is linked to a global goal that you are grateful for. Okay, so it might be something dead simple. I had a really nice breakfast. So there you go. I've got global goal zero hunger. It might be that you helped somebody at home do the recycling, and you've got our global goal about reusing and sensible consumption. It might be that you've got something that you saw in your garden. You might have seen a badger. Oh, I've got mine. This is really cool, right? I was driving home. It was quite late on Friday. It was after the Halloween disco. So it was about 9 o'clock. And I had to slow down really quickly as I drove towards the roundabout because a fox ran straight across the roundabout and onto the roundabout and then just stood there and looked at my car. So there was no other cars around. So I drove really slowly around the roundabout so I could look at the fox and watch it. So there you go. I've got life on land. I am really grateful for that life on land. Okay, that made me really happy. So see if you can pick something that makes you really happy. Okay, and see if you can link it to a global goal. Pause the video and then share it with your class. Go. Right, a bit of a harder one, that one. So maybe if you see me on the playground, you could tell me what it was that you had been grateful for. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to read you one of the Little People Big Dreams books because they're ace and they're one of my favorites. And like I said before, one of the best things about being a teacher is being able to share really cool books with you guys. And the Little People Big Dreams books are about so many inspirational people. And last time we were looking at Marcus Rashford because he was really encapsulating the global goals because he'd helped people who needed food. So this time we're going to look at David Attenborough. Okay, David Attenborough is a wildlife documentary maker, a naturalist, a writer. He is really, really heavily involved in working towards the global goals to do with climate change. He's really, really passionate about wildlife and climate change and how if we don't look after our world, then animals will start to die out. Okay, so we'll find out a little bit about him and then I'm going to set you a bit of a challenge. Okay, right, here we go. David Attenborough. So it's a hot day in the Lake District of England. Put your hand up if you've been to the Lake District. Lots of people. A young boy rides his bike slowly down the road. He stops under a large tree and looks through his bag to find his canteen. As he pulls out his water, several rocks fall out. But these are no ordinary rocks, and this is no ordinary boy. Right, have a very close look at the picture. We've got a new bit of vocabulary there that we wouldn't use. We would use something in a different way. So the word canteen. He looks through his bag to find his canteen. As he pulls out his water, several rocks fall out. So from the clues, work out what the word canteen means. Have you got it? Pause the video if you need to. Yeah, that's right. We would use water bottle, but a canteen is a metal container used for water from a long while ago. These rocks are really fossils, and this boy's name is David Attenborough. He picks up the fossils, places them back into his bag. He's been gone from home for almost 3 weeks. He hops back on his bike, unafraid of danger, hoping only to learn more about this big, beautiful world. David was born the middle child of 3 boys and grew up in Leicester, in England. He always loved being in nature and was often found outside in the fields, collecting fossils or birds' eggs. He studied natural sciences at University of Cambridge. He began to work for the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, and soon became a producer. Now, I just want to say this point about collecting birds' eggs. 70, 80, 90 years ago, it was legal to collect birds' eggs. It was a kind of accepted thing at that point. Now it's not. It's absolutely illegal to collect birds' eggs, and you must not go climbing trees to collect eggs out of the nests. Now, it might seem strange for someone who loved being outdoors to choose a career in television, but this is where David began to shine. Up to this point, there was little focus on educational programs and certainly no shows about science. David wanted to change that. In 1954, he launched a program called Zoo Quest. Film crews learned to capture footage of animals in their natural habitat without disturbing them. It was the first time a show like this had been made, and it set the stage for more nature documentaries to follow. So he was one of those people who did something for the first time. And we talked about this in assemblies before. What could you do that nobody else has done before? It's a really difficult question. After working with the BBC for several years, David left to write and produce his own shows. And the most famous program was called Life on Earth. This show took film crews around the world, capturing footage of plants and animals. David's narration brought these stories to life. David produced and narrated dozens of shows. The Life series included shows about mammals, reptiles, birds, frozen landscapes, insects, and much more. Blue Planet featured oceans and marine life. Attenborough in Paradise was filmed in 1996 about his personal favourite animal, the bird of paradise. David found creative ways to use film techniques to tell a story. In the show The Private Life of Plants, time-lapse photography was used to show plants growing at a fast speed. Viewers got to see in a matter of minutes what might take hours or even days to happen in nature. The shows he made were very successful. At one point, the wildlife series, Wildlife on One, had 8 to 10 million people watching it every week. All around the world, people would tune in to learn more about the planet they lived on. And in 1985, he was knighted as Sir David Attenborough. He'd also received many awards for the work he's done to educate people about the planet and the need to take care of it. David has several animal species named after him, both living and extinct. A sea animal discovered to live millions of years ago is scientifically named Attenboroughsaurus. And to honor his love of butterflies, a tropical butterfly found in Colombia and Brazil is named Eutychia attenboroughii. That's a difficult one. Look at that. Eutychia attenboroughii. Wow, that's a tricky word to say. Just like when he was a boy riding his bike through the Lake District, David continues to explore the world with no fear of danger. He keeps a full schedule, flying around the globe to places like Australia, the Kalahari Desert, and the Borneo rainforest. David's shows help people learn and care about the planet. No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they've never experienced, he says. He opened up a world of beauty and science for people to see in their own living rooms. So we've got a glossary, which you can pause the video for and stop and have a look at if you need to. And we've got, this is a new feature, it seems, in the Little People, Big Dreams books, a bit about muses. And a muse is a very inspirational person. So the Muse Museum. So maybe when we read some more of these books in assemblies, we'll find out a little bit more about this. And I think we've seen some of these people in our Little People, Big Dreams books. Right, let's go back a little bit. So here's this line: no one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they've never experienced. So think of the things that you care about to do with the planet. We care about the plants that are around us. You look after our forest school areas. You have experienced that time outdoors. Now, the aim is that you understand it, that you care about it, and then we can all do something about our global goals. They're really, really important. And I know the children in year 5 and 6 have been learning about deforestation. I can't go to the Amazon rainforest and stop deforestation, but there is a way that I can do something to make the world slightly better, which is why I love my my garden. Somebody said to me the other day, you've got a plant in your office that's looking a bit unhappy. Why don't you just throw it away? So let's get this plant to have a look. Now, when you look at this, yes, it does look a little bit unhappy. It absolutely does. So these leaves are looking a bit brown. These leaves have fallen off, and it didn't really like the heat when I had it in my office earlier. But what this plant has is loads of new shoots here, and I'm trying to care for the plant to help it to grow. And these shoots, there's actually lots of them. There's really tiny ones through there as well. It's difficult to see because I'm about to tip the soil out all over. But if we're careful, can you see all those little shoots? Even there. Now, put your hand up if you know what sort of plant that is. This will actually grow, if I have it in the right conditions, into a banana tree, and bananas will grow from it. And I could throw it away. I could go to Sainsbury's and I could buy a new one, and it will be bigger. Sorry, I'm being really unkind to you. I shouldn't be mean. I don't want it to have its feelings hurt. It will be bigger and it would look prettier. But that feels like a waste. So I'm trying to care about the environment. And actually what David Attenborough was saying is that if we care about the environment, we will look after it better. So here is my challenge for you, chaps. Here is my challenge. I think if you say this is your homework from Mr. Boot, your parents will love this one. This is BBC iPlayer. And if you search for Sir David Attenborough, there's a page with all of David Attenborough's documentaries on it. And you can watch any of these. And they are amazing. Absolutely stunning. I watched Planet Earth 2, and it's just incredible. Now, I can't show you it in the assembly today because this is recorded on YouTube. If I play an iPlayer video and then record it on YouTube, I won't be able to do that. But watch some of these, because even if you watch something, you have something in the background when you're at home with parents, you will see things that you just think, wow. And my challenge to you is to watch something and see what your response is, because I think if you watch it, and it could just be on in the background while you have tea, at some point you'll go, whoa, that's cool. So I want you to come back and tell me if you've watched one of the David Attenborough things, and somebody in the house, could be you, could be mum or dad or brother or sister or whoever, has gone, wow, that's really cool. David Attenborough is a really lucky man. He's had lots of opportunities. And when you see some of the places that he's been to and some of the things, he's really made the most of all of the chances he's had in life. So what are you going to do to make the most of those chances that you have in life? And what are you going to do what David Attenborough's done and convince other people to look after the world? That's part of our global goals work that we're looking at this week. Right, there we go, guys. So I want you to see if you can watch some of these videos and come and tell me which one you've particularly enjoyed. I think I'm going to go home tonight, and which one am I going to choose? I might go for Wild Isles. Quite like puffins. I might go for Africa. I'm going to watch one of these tonight. I'll let you know. Bye-bye.